You are listening to Trophy Horse with your hosts, Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One, Sid, and Ender Phoenix.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Horse. This is episode 723. I'm your host, Tricky Mick. Alongside with me, the man, the myth, and the legend. It's Alex.
Man, German food just hits different.
When I can talk about the atrocity that you put me through.
That I put you through. I didn't put you through anything. We'll get to it because for what you've been playing, I've got an additional segment.
He brings the awesome. It's I Yield to No One.
You know what I don't bring this week?
The awesome?
The jealousy.
Matt is on a mission. He is currently in Timbuktu. And for all I care right now, he doesn't even have to come back. He was part of the atrocity.
Again, it was just nothing but pure glory. Gloriousness all in one room. But we'll get to that.
Or the jealousy, if you would.
There's no jealousy.
Oh, yes, there was. There was major jealousy.
There's no jealousy. I think it's a crime against loyalty.
Just you know what? We'll again.
Good. Admit your crime, sir.
I don't know what crime there is to admit. Before we do what you've been playing this week, I guess we'll be doing who you've been meeting this week. So Saturday, I don't know if I should bury the headline or whatever, but I went to meet Matt. It was actually the first person from the show I had ever met because when the guys went to PAX years ago, my grandmother had passed. I actually missed my stepbrother's wedding for that too, but I missed PAX when Donnie and Tricky and Yield all got together. So this was actually the first time I met somebody from the show. So after work on Saturday morning, I came home, got about 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and then woke up and drove to Cincinnati to see Matt. We went to a German restaurant called the Hofbrau House up in Newport, Kentucky, around Newport on the Levee. Really good restaurant, good atmosphere, like a big German beer hall style restaurant. Very popular, and it was a good time. Matt was in town for the Channel 3 Con, Channel 3 Anime Con. I don't know exactly the name was, but he had mentioned to me while we were sitting down eating that the first time he had seen Dan Tucker since like his wedding 13 or 14 years ago, and he says Dan lives like 2-3 hours away from him. So, it goes to show you, you never know when you'll have another chance to see somebody or when people live in different areas of the country. So I saw this as a prime opportunity to go meet Matt, and I did. And Matt was lovely. He picked up the bill for lunch. I insisted that I'd be able to pay my way since he drove 9 hours from New Jersey to get to Cincinnati. And I only drove about 2 hours from Louisville to get to Cincinnati, or Newport, Cincinnati. They're just across the river from each other. But Matt was very nice and picked up picked up lunch, and I appreciate that. We chewed the fat for a little bit, and then I headed back home. So on my way there, and this is what grinds Tricky's gears, I get a call from Tricky, and he calls me, and he's like talking about playing Split Fiction. It's like, man, I can't play Split Fiction with you, because if I play Split Fiction with you before I play Split Fiction with Ashley, she might, behead me into the middle of the night. And Tricky asked me, it's like, because he was on speakerphone, because I was driving my car, and I, hands-free. And he goes, are you, like, out and about? It sounds like you're somewhere. And I'm like, no, I'm driving to meet Matt. And Tricky was shocked. He's like, oh, you're actually doing that? Because we had mentioned it on the show, I think, about how Matt was going to be in Cincinnati. I'm like, oh, I live, so-and-so far away from there, and, I'll come meet you, and it'd be nice. So, yeah. And Tricky said it was a real bitch move that I met Matt before I met him.
It is.
So get this, Alex.
It's premeditated at that.
I'm at my brother's hanging out, I get a text from Tricky. And it's a picture of Hugh and Matt. And he's like, those bastards. And I'm like, what did they do? He's like, Matt met Alex before I did. Which, I don't think that's entirely true, because I'm pretty sure you've already met. But anyway, I'm like, oh, is someone jealous?
No. He met Alex, meaning Matt met Alex before I met Alex.
I mistook that. Either way, I was sensing major jealousy through the phone, because Matt got to meet you first. I was just like, oh.
Here's the thing. And I'm like, if Tricky were in Cincinnati for the weekend, I would drive up to meet Tricky. But I'm like, Tricky, when, aside from PAX, which was in Boston, have I ever had the chance to be like anywhere near you to drive to you? And Tricky's like, well, I can't drive. It's an 18-hour drive. And he's like, you can get in a car and come meet me. So you want me to drive 18 hours or whatever? Yeah, sure. I'll get right on that, Tricky. And then he's like, you can jump on a plane. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're the one who's about to be retired. You make more money than I do. What do you mean I can do all this stuff? Here's the thing. I sit down with Matt and we get to talking, and he talks about a 9-hour drive from where he lives. And I'm like, how the fuck did Tricky get 18 hours?
That's what I'm just thinking. I'm just like, from Jersey to here's 9 hours. From New York to here's nowhere near 18.
And Tricky grossly overestimated the drive time. But also, Tricky, you said that you were only 7 hours off because it was like, 11 hours from where you are to my house. But I met Matt in Cincinnati, which is 2 hours closer to you. So you actually were 9 hours off, because instead of 11, it should be 9 hours.
Okay. First of all, let's clear the area here.
Oh, I already did that.
When I said the 18 hours, I was just throwing out an estimate. I had no real idea.
Well, that's very
That
obvious.
being said, so I Googled from my house to Louisville, and it was 9 hours? 7 hours. No.
You're going in the opposite direction,
11
Tricky.
hours. How long did it say? I think it said 11 hours, right?
Well, if you were only 7 hours off. But again, I will say, since I met Matt in Cincinnati, I would put you in the same place, so it would be 9 hours for you to Cincinnati, I assume, because Cincinnati is it's about 2 hours, hour and 40 minutes from Kentucky, or from Louisville, not from Kentucky.
11 hours and 4 minutes.
Yeah, to Louisville, but to Cincinnati, it's gonna be a lot less. So it was you.
Well, see, a real friend, I would come to your house. I wouldn't make you drive. So, just saying.
After you told me to hop into a
11
car and come see you because you couldn't.
No, what I said was, you were like, oh, you could just come and see me. I'm like, yeah. It also works the other way, too. You could also come to New York and see me. You come to New York, I got numerous things for you to do. Like, what the hell is there to do in Louisville other than go to what? No, I was going to say even the Baseball Hall of Fame, but that's not even there. That's in Cooperstown, which is also in New York.
Bro, well, first of all...
You want me to go get a Louisville Slugger made?
Yeah, you can go see the Louisville Slugger.
What can we do?
Okay, well, first of all, there's a lot of stuff to do in Louisville. We have plenty of museums. We have a zoo you can come see.
Boring.
We have the Louisville Slugger Museum. There's plenty of distillery tours. Like, even if you're not a big drinker, the distillery tours are really great. We got great parks down here. Hell, you could go to Mammoth Cave, take you out to Cumberland Gap, take you out to Red River Gorge. There's plenty of great things to do in and around Louisville. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Nothing to do.
There's nothing to do.
Just because like nobody in New York ever sleeps, and there's constantly people hustling and bustling down, like going down at midnight to buy a hot dog from the hot dog cart. Yeah,
which I don't recommend anybody buy a dirty water dog.
We ain't got. Oh well, Tricky, you already talked about how they piss in the water. Not everyone, but that's what a dirty water dog is, right?
Well, yeah, we call them dirty water dogs because those vendors are out there all the time, and they have to go to the bathroom somewhere.
Not like a little bottle?
No.
But anyways, yeah, that's why Tricky is all up in arms, because I met Matt because Matt was an hour and 40 minutes away. And, I worked an overnight shift, worked 9 to 5 a.m., got off, went home, got some sleep, woke up, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as I usually am, and I drove to meet Matt. Would have done the same for you, Tricky, but you weren't in Cincinnati, so...
Yeah, but like I said, a true friend wouldn't make you drive. I would have came to you.
Matt drove 9 hours from New Jersey.
he was kind of busy at a con.
Well, but also, like, yeah, they were doing competition stuff that day. He had entered himself in some tournaments, and also, like, he was doing high score challenges, but also V was there, and I wasn't going to make him meet me halfway in the middle of bumfuck Kentucky, at like McDonald's on and off, right off the ramp, right off the highway. So, wanted to do something that was fun, a novel place, some place that I'm assuming you guys can't go to up in New York, and that was close enough to the convention where, V didn't have to sacrifice too much time, because obviously, V gave up time with Matt at the convention so that we could meet, so I appreciate her for that. But yeah, it all worked out perfectly.
All joking aside, like, I'm happy you guys met.
And we have the picture to prove it.
Like, yes, you do.
Yeah.
That Yield just wanted a needle when I sent him the picture.
Well, like, after your response and, like, you're just ridiculous, like, I can't drive 7 years from Saudi Arabia to fucking Kentucky to meet you. Why don't you hop in a plane and fly to...
It would take 36 hours to walk there.
Uphill, both ways, in the snow.
Hope you got some good shoes or 2 pairs of shoes. There, Fred Flintstone.
Barefoot. Barefoot's the way to go. All right, so... Little disclaimer, little sad news. I'm probably not going to bring a lot of energy on this episode, as the boys already know.
I love how we went from a story to us needling you to this.
Well, no, I want to address this before we get into the show, because it doesn't like I don't want somebody going, well, you started off strong and then it got bad. Unfortunately, yesterday I had to put down a dog, Bo. I don't know if I've ever actually talked about him on the show.
I'm pretty sure, because Bo and Bella lived together with you and Tina. So I'm assuming that Bo...
Government names.
The goddess. I'm assuming Bo has been mentioned on the show before.
Probably. But unfortunately... he suffered a torn ACL, and surgery was not an option, and it got to the point where he was in pain constantly, crying out constantly, and we had to make the unfortunate decision to put him down yesterday. So I have not been in the best of moods for the last couple of days, or last 2 days, just to say. So if my energy's off or I'm a little snippy this week, just know that's probably the reason why.
Also, I did not learn this piece of information until after I had gotten back from Ohio or Northern Kentucky, so...
Yeah, I wasn't going to tell you to ruin your...
Yeah, I wasn't going to needle Tricky about Matt while, after learning the Tricky's dog had passed, so I didn't learn about that until later in the day.
Yeah. But with that being said, let's do our updated trophy count. I am level of 988 total trophies of 35,974 with 1,048 plats. Alex?
I am level 537, total trophy count of 11,413, and a platinum count of 213 in 212 games.
Yield is level 5. Oh, Yield, you're here. Why am I calling you out? Yield, what?
Hold on here. I'm looking around, making sure there's nobody else around. Oh, okay.
Well, the judge also says you're level 54, so I don't know what the hell.
Level 54? No, I'm on level 547.
I don't know what happened. It just says 54. All right, now you're 547. Go ahead.
Okay. With a trophy count of 12,068, does the agenda say that?
Yes.
Okay. And 231 platinums.
It also says that.
Oh, okay. You just forgot the 7. I got you.
I apparently I hit the 7 and it just never went in.
Oh, okay.
Matt is level 224, total trophies of 1,395 with 0 plats, and Sid is level 902, total trophies of 28,168 with 869 plats. Yield, are you ready for the rarity update?
No, because I was having trouble getting into it, so we'll have to patch it in or skip it this week.
We can patch it in.
Okay.
I'm editing this week, so just get it to me, and I will patch it into the show.
That's fine. I was trying to access it, and I was having issues. So no, I do not have it at the moment, but we'll get it. We'll get it worked out. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the rarity update for episode 723. We are in the first week of season 7. Gareth starts off by going, season 7 gets back underway, and the first scoring period was an extended one with scores taken between July 1st and July 11th. We sadly lost 3 contestants, Homer Gets Stuffed, Prometheus 101, and X-Nightmare 317, and we hope to see them return at some point. However, we've gained 3 replacements, all of whom started well. They are Shane Lizard, Dux 14, Dazafet. With X-Nightmare taking a little break, it meant Dodge Williams moved up to Division 2 via the back door. In Division 1, picking up from where he left off last season, newly promoted Meets Goats a Lot stormed to the highest score across all divisions to set the early pace. Yes, some of his trophies from Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced may be inflated, but as it stands, he has the points on the board, 136 of them. 15 points behind him is Nitro, who started well and amassed 121 points to open his account for season 7, putting him in second place. The top 2 have a healthy gap after a week with 50 points the difference to myself in third place with 71 points. Let me tell you folks, I probably won't be there very long, so don't worry. Having narrowly avoided demotion last campaign, I get off to a good start. A rare trophy increase of 14. Thank you, Abathor. Did the most damage this period. The rest of the league is fairly compact with just a few points separating the majority. Last season's champion Edge has started with 67 points and sits 4th, as he looks to become the first contestant to retain their title. The second promotion contestant, Shoddy Sniper 123, earned himself 53 points on his debut in Division 1. I'm sure there's more to come from him over the course of the season. Sai Taikist went hard on his common trophies, maximizing the 10 bonus points for the round, including a common plat in Captain Cat on the PS4, and finished the week with 50 points. Marky Frazier, Doc Chicken, and Gareth sit in 7th, 8th, and 9th after scoring 42, 41, and 41 respectively. Pee-wee, who also had a slow start to last season, posted 29 in the opening week, which keeps her head above the danger zone in 10th spot. Occupying the regulation spot after the first week is rolling on the floor laughing out loud Z, who earned 21 points. Eifert Hellfire 90, who had 15. Included in rolling on the floor laughing, scoring was an ultra-rare and pixel junk Nom Nom Galaxy that narrowly missed out on the spot in the rarest trophies of the week. On to Division 2. Following his regulation from Division 1, Redbeard Rick has started life in Division 2 with a bang, increasing his ultra-rare count by 9. He top-scored within the division by scoring 121 points to lead the way, including an entry into the rarest trophy of the week. California Wayne also hit triple digits with 102 points to join Rick in the promotion spots after this first period. Again, Wayne's score boosted with an entry in the rarest trophy of the week. Like Division 1, the top 2 in Division 2 have a little gap over the chasing pack. CJ picked up from where he left off last season by scoring 73 points. Good enough for 3rd in this early stage. Alex scored higher in the first week of Division 7 than any of his previous weeks from the entry of Season 6. 71 points for him this period, including a plat in Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Good friends, Mr. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 84 and The Grounded Gamer occupy 5th and 6th spots. Both similar with Priestley taking the advantage with 53 points compared to Corey's 48. Crook 09 sits in 7th spot after securing 36 points, a solid start for him after his early season struggles last time out. Newly promoted Murray, 2011, has made a promising start to life in the higher division. A score of 28 is good enough for 8th spot. Tricky is in a familiar spot, 9th. For him, where he spent most of last season, he secured himself 23 points this period, including his maximum bonus points. Both Dodge Williams and the Big Don made the step up to Division 2 and both secured 16 points. Dodge was from earning trophies and Don was from his legacy trophies, having yet to get off the mark in July. Dupes 25, having just missed out on the promotion spot last time out, made a slow start by scoring just 5 points. However, if he can emulate his form from last season, it won't be long before he rises through the standings. Now on to Division 3. All 3 of the new contestants have started the season well, with them occupying 3 of the top 4 spots. There is a tie for the lead at the early stage between newcomer Ducks 14 and founder member Resident Daryl. Both scored well with 87 points. Daryl secured an impressive plat in Deadpool on the PS3. Shane Lizard is another newcomer and opened his account with 79 points. And the third newcomer was Dazzlefet, who hit 63, including a tasty plat in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and jumped straight in with the rarest trophy of the week, coming in Capcom Arcade Stadium at 0.58%. Well, you already know the winner of that. This was also good enough for a share of the lead in the rarest trophy of the season, tied with Doc Chicken 13. There was a drop of 50 points to the next contestant in 5th place. The Brain 76 mustered 13 points, which was good enough for the top half spot, while Stat 1 Seagull saw his legacy trophies do the work and earn him 11 points. For 6th place, Waterfields 1, fresh from his regulation, earned a single trophy in EAFC 26, a game where it was the rarest trophy this week for 4 different contestants. He had 10 points. He was joined on 10 points by Stink Palm, who has scored more points this period than he did in the first month of the previous campaign. 3 of the bottom 4 failed to earn a single trophy in the opening period. Darth Knight 82 had to rely on legacy trophies for his 4 points. Kalai was the same for her 2. Departed 570 was the contestant who did earn a trophy, a single uncommon, and Roblox, accounting for his solitary point this season. Big Bernard RB has lost points and is now looking to build up from his score of -5. We've seen him blow hot and cold in previous seasons with both promotion and regulations to his name. What does this season have in store for him? The rarest trophies in the week. In 5th, we have Ducks 14, Girl Power from FIFA 23 at 4.11%. 4th, we have California Wayne in Bid Snipe, NBA 2K26 at 3.63%. 3rd, Redbeard Rick, Vegan from Green Hell, 2.49%. In 2nd, we have Edge, Trained Up, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 at 2.05%. And in 1st place, the rarest trophy of the week, we have Dazafet, Capcom Masters from Capcom Arcade Stadium at a 0.58%. That is the rarity update for episode... I lost it. I had it and I lost it. This is the rarity update for episode 723. Thank you, Gareth. And we will see you on the trophy battlefield.
But what we do have is Sophie's Trophies. So we'll throw it over to Sapan, to Sid.
Hello guys, it's Sid with your Platinum shout-outs for this week. I think I may have missed some at some point, so if I have, I do apologise. But the ones I've got this week, there aren't many of them, so we should get through them quite quickly, my friends. And we have Gaz Davis 11 with Wreck Nation on the PS5. Cy Tykist with Captain Cat on the PS4. Misa Goats a Lot with Puzzle Bobble 2x plus 3S Tribute, PS4. Dodge Williams with Tiny Tina's Wonderlands on the PS4. Raise Havoc with Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice on the PS5. And last but not least, guys, is Resident Daryl with Deadpool on the PS3. So I think the shout out for this one has to be Deadpool. From what I remember, there are some quite awkward difficulty spikes in that game. Doing it on the highest difficulty can be frustrating. But yeah, not much not much this week, guys, if I can speak English. But I will hopefully be back next week, and we shall see if we have more or less platinum shout-outs for you. So take it easy, guys, take care, and I will talk to you soon. Keep getting those trophies. Bye.
Thank you, Sid. I'm trying to figure out. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'm not. I'm not forgetting anything, right? No. Feedback would be nice, guys. No, Tricky, you're not forgetting anything.
Tricky, you're doing great.
No. Excellent.
All right, so let's get into our topics. Before we get into our topics proper, I did put in the agenda that, remember last week I mentioned the petition to save physical games on the PlayStation?
Yes, you did mention that.
Okay. So, I looked up the petition just to see how it was doing. As of this point of recording, it has 297,738 signatures. I do want to touch base with you guys because one of my comments last week is, one, I don't think this petition is going to do anything. But with that being said, it's been a week that this petition has been going. It has just under 300,000 signatures. Do you guys think that this is enough to make Sony go, we might need to look into changing our position on this? Yield, I'll start with you.
No, you're going to need a few million to do that.
I was thinking 30 million, but...
I mean, these kind of petitions pop up all the time. And so how often do they really do anything? I think it's more that it helps people who are in the position of physical owners, feel better that they're actually doing something, trying to fight back. But what's really going to kind of, where it's really going to hit Sony is if, there's a significant decrease in spending on the PlayStation Network. You hear stories about people, ditching their PSN or their PlayStation Plus, and, I don't know. We'll just have to see. It's really about. I think this is something that Sony looks at, and a lot of these companies look at, because everyone but Nintendo, I guarantee, wants to get rid of discs or physical media, and EA, Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard. Well, Activision is part of Microsoft, but Microsoft, which is about to be seemingly spun off from, or Xbox, which is about to be seemingly spun off from Microsoft. If you don't think all these companies want to get rid of discs, like I don't know. But I think it's for Sony. It's like we got to do this at some point, so let's just pull the Band-Aid off. And I think it's I'm not saying people shouldn't voice their opinions, but will this really have an impact? It's only going to matter if Sony starts losing quite a bit of money in game sales. And if you're like, well, I'm going to switch to Xbox, just wait until they announce something like this too. So,
well, you talk about hitting them in the wallet, and our first topic is actually addressing that. It's coming from IGN and written by...
We didn't do what we were playing.
Oh, we didn't, did we?
No, we didn't.
No,
I told you I was forgetting something.
I thought you were going to transition to what we've been playing after you did all the
well, I was, and then you mentioned hitting them in the wallet, and I was like, that's a perfect transition to our first topic. That, you know what? Let me get my flow together. Yield, what have you been playing, sir?
So, hold on here. Do that for a moment. Been playing some Exocross, which is that iRacing futuristic racing game. Have been working on getting the red diamond scores or times on all the challenges. I got the first track done and started on the second track and was good up until you got to do the full lap, and that's giving me fits, like rage fits. Been playing a lot of Roadcraft with Prepare to Die or Scum and Nitro. Jumped into Helldivers a little bit just to see if we got the new, got the gun for the campaign. And then, yesterday was hanging out at my brother's. And so Homer Gets Stuffed and Prepare to Die or Scum and myself was playing a game called Abathor. which is a fun 2D platformer game. You can play with 4 people, couch co-op, or 4 people online. And we knocked out to 23 of the 33 trophies in the game in 5 hours. So that was fun. Of course, the trophies that are left are like the super hard ones that are going to take a lot longer to get, but that was a fun game. That's been about it. Only been playing kind of about 3 games this week. A lot of overtime, so wasn't much gaming time.
All right, Alex.
So, as has been revealed by our friend Sid, I got a Platinum Trophy in Hellblade. And I talked about it quite a bit last time that we were on. I've talked about Hellblade a little bit in both the previous shows. Just kind of going to finish up here with my thoughts. In general, I guess I kind of feel like Hellblade as a whole is more like, instead of playing a game, you're playing a narrative. And some people may not see what I mean by that, but it basically, I just feel like so many elements are just of that game are just so focused on the narrative that at some points the gameplay is kind of just like a second thought. Again, I talked about like the variety of enemies and how it's, kind of shallow, and how, you're doing the same puzzle, the same door puzzle, where you're finding the symbols in the world to open up the doors with the big red letters on them. So there's just a lot of that in the game, and I feel like they could have done other things to make it more video gamey. And I don't say that about a lot of games, but Hellblade's one where I think the technical aspects shine, whereas the gameplay is fine. But I definitely think it's the weakest part of Hellblade in whole. But I do want to say some good things about the game, because it does make really good use of lore and other things. One of the things that you hear, the kind of the sayings in the game, is the greatest battles are fought in the mind. And that definitely comes out in like the audio, like psychosis aspect of it, where you hear the voices pushing you forward, pulling you back. You hear the internal. It's like the internal struggle in Senua's mind is playing out in front of you through your headphones. So I think they did a really good job of actually manifesting that saying throughout the game, and more audio stuff. But the collectibles in the game, the lore stones, it's audio based. So you can trigger the lore stone and then walk away, but you're still getting the audio playing in your ear, which is it's like the audio logs in BioShock. A fantastic way that people can continue on, not break at the pace of the game, and they can still listen and get the lore. Because if you make someone read a page, like collect a text document and read and break them away from the game, I think the chances of them skipping that and not learning any of the extra lore are pretty great. So I think the audio collectibles are a really good way to kind of flesh out your world. One of the last sets of lore stones they have in the game when you're on your way to Hela is detailing Ragnarok, which what better way to kind of, send the game off than to talk about, your last bit of lore is Ragnarok. And one of the most important events, obviously, in Norse mythology. And then lastly, the music during the final battle. It's a great set piece. You're fighting your way towards Hela. Hela's in the back. You're seeing her as you're kind of crossing these bridges and going pedestal to pedestal, fighting all these enemies. So as a set piece and as music, it's great. I do think that obviously the way that, and this is kind of what I talk about playing the narrative, is in most video games, you go in and your idea is victory. Like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to beat Bowser, or I'm going to beat Ganondorf. This is a little bit of a different final fight, to where it all blends into the narrative to kind of basically make this part of the story arc for Senua make sense. So, I'm not going to try to say much more. Some of you may have already played the game, but it basically is, the final battle is all basically moving the story forward rather than being like a true final battle between good and evil. So, or, the hero and the, kind of villain antagonist. So, but I mean, overall Hellblade, I enjoy the narrative. I do think it would make for like a great television show or movie, or, just kind of someone traveling through Helheim to find their lost love, and just kind of everything Senua goes through. But yeah, a nice trip down memory lane. Although I do think that more so than other Ninja Theory games, I can kind of pick a few more holes in Hellblade. Although, from what I've seen of Hellblade 2, never played it, but it does look like it looks like an even better game. Like not just visually, but it looks like you see some different style puzzles. So maybe I hate the permadeath thing, man. I wish the permadeath thing wasn't in there, because Hellblade also has permadeath, where if you die enough times, the rot grows up your arm, and if it reaches your head, it kills you, and you lose all your progress. I hate that. I absolutely hate that. So I feel like it kind of, in most games you are allowed to fail and try again, but I feel like with the Hellblade permadeath thing, it makes you on edge to lose the simplest battle or mess up the simplest puzzle, or mess up on the fire trials for cert. So I definitely wish the permadeath thing wasn't in either of the Hellblades. I would be much more excited about playing them. But after I got the Platinum Trophy in that, I went and bought Cult of the Lamb. I had been playing it on PlayStation Plus Extra when I got the Platinum Trophy in 2024. So when I let that lapse and just went down to Essential, I lost access to Cult of the Lamb, but I got it on sale for about $8, and I bought the Woolhaven DLC. Haven't started playing it yet, but there are new trophies, so I'm going to play through that and, probably talk more about how much I like Cult of the Lamb. But after finishing Hellblade, and in lieu of playing Cult of the Lamb, I went back and re-downloaded Furi. And this is a game I played back in 2017. It's Furi, Furi. It is a hard-as-nails boss rush, essentially. And, generally you think of Alex. Alex loves Punch-Out. Alex loves Shadow of the Colossus. What's not to love about a boss rush for him? And I think this may be one of the few games where I played it. I mean, I played it a lot. I played it more than 15 hours. And was finally able to get through all the bosses. But I don't really like the game a ton. I went back and got a lot of the trophies. So initially, they had it to where there was an easy mode, but you couldn't earn trophies on the easy mode, and later on they kind of put in an update or put in a patch which allowed you to get trophies for beating the bosses on easy mode. And I think that's because, there clearly is a recognition that, hey, we made a really hard game, and if you want to choose to play the game on harder difficulties, you can, but there needs to be a better option for people who just want to get through the story and see the end, because I think clearly there was a recognition that, man, they just, not enough people were able to do this, and so we have to patch this in to kind of ease up on people a little bit, which I appreciate, because the game is very, very hard. So yeah, it's a boss rush game. There's 9 bosses, and in between each boss, the protagonist, the person you play as the story kind of goes on, you may say hero, villain, anti-hero, depending on how you look at it. But there's just these long walking sections in between each boss that there's kind of some story sewn in by a character called The Voice. It's a character with a giant purple bunny head on. And, you're just walking. If you don't want to push the stick to walk, you can actually press X to auto walk. But just kind of the whole unfolding of the story, which turns out to be much crazier than I ever thought it would be. But the whole way the story unfolds, like a hard boss fight followed by a section of auto walking, for me, I wasn't a fan of that. It's just kind of in between the fights. It does give you some time to rest in between the high adrenaline fights, but it just feels like such an empty experience to go from boss fight to auto walk to boss fight, auto walk, especially if you're not enjoying the boss fights. I don't really like the designs of the bosses. I don't really like the art style they chose to do the game with. I will say the one aspect of the game that I did enjoy that I thought was a really good idea was during the fights they have range sections where it's more where you're it's combat with your gun at a range, and there's also sections as you take more health away, where you're actually encircled. They actually kind of lock off the amount of space you have to move, and you're kind of in close quarters combat, and it's more melee based and more parrying. And so I do like that aspect of you have the ranged aspect to it, but then you also have close quarters combat. But man, the rest of the game, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the difficulty, the designs of the bosses, the art style, just the way the story unfolds. I'm just not a huge fan of any of the game. And I'm not saying it's a bad game. I mean, I understand that there are people that just enjoy games that are supremely challenging. And that's fine. Just for me, though, this game just really didn't click. I kind of went back just to earn trophies. You know me, if I can earn a trophy, I'm definitely going to try my hardest to do it. So I got to the 6th boss back in 2017, and just kind of hit a wall. Came back. There were a few trophies I thought I would earn, and then I saw that you could play the game on easy mode, and I just went through and played it, got through all the bosses, saw the ending. Well, there's a couple endings, depending on which choices you make. But yeah, Furi, not a game for me. Obviously, there's an audience for it, but I just feel like, it's one of those games where you try and it just doesn't click. Luckily, I was able to go back and get trophies, finish off the bosses, but game's just not for me. So if you enjoy Furi, I'm not going to knock you for it. But just to kind of show you just how the different difficulties kind of matter. Each boss fight, it's not just like one health bar. It's like each boss has like multiple health bars. So like the first boss has, on the normal difficulty, has 7 health bars, and you have 3. Now on the Promenade, which is the easy mode, you have 5, I think, and the boss has. Do you have 5? I think you have 5, and the boss has 5. But here's the way the combat works. So let's say you damage an enemy on one of those life bars, but before you can take away all the life on a life bar, you lose one of your life bars. You aren't dead because the fight can continue because you have a life bar to refill your health. But that boss also then gets their health bar refilled, and you have to restart that stage of the fight all over again. So that's the way it works. That also feeds into the difficulty. So I don't know how many people know that you can play the game on easy now, but if you played the game before and you had trouble getting through it, there is that. There is the option to play easy mode and earn trophies now. So, but yeah, Furi's not a game for me, but if you were able to make it through it and do like because one of the trophies you have to do, like you get scored like S rank or A rank on the higher difficulties, and you have to beat the game on the highest difficulty on S rank. You also have to beat the combat designer's time of 1 hour and 29 minutes, which, yeah, sure, that sounds fun. The person who designed the combat in this hardest balls combat game, I have to beat their time. Great. Somebody's done it, obviously, but not me. So that's my thoughts. Mad respect for anyone who played that game and got the Platinum Trophy, because I said there are people who have done it. I just can't. I'm just grateful to be able to get through the entire game and see the ending. But
So you're not going to go for the platinum?
oh, fuck no. Like I said, I first played this game in 2017. We're talking 9 years ago, and I've just gone back to beat all the bosses and pick up some of the miscellaneous combat trophies. So when it's all said and done, I think I had 31% of the trophies when I stopped playing the game in 2017. When it is I have 60-something% done now. There's a couple more trophies I can still get, and I think one of them is a gold. So I'll probably end up with over 70% completion done by the time it's all said and done. So a jump of 40% ain't bad. It helps that completion percentage that I like to, tout myself, give myself a pat on the back for every once in a while.
All right, and the only thing
Sorry, Tricky, one more thing. If you did play the game on the 4, if you own it on the 4, there is a free upgrade to the PS5 version. It's one of those games like Hellblade that has a free PS5 upgrade. So if you enjoyed the game, you can always re-download it and earn the trophies again on PlayStation 5.
All right, and I've been playing Assassin's Creed Rogue, and I've also been playing. I started today. I started playing Black Flag Resynced. Alex, you said something about you have something to say about what I've been playing. You had a new segment or something. Did you want to hit that up?
Oh no, that was the segment of who you've been meeting with starring Matt Granelli.
Oh, I misunderstood then.
No, because I was going to say that for what you've been playing, or tag it along with what I've been playing. Because it obviously spending part of your Saturday on the road going to meet one of your buddies obviously takes away from the time that you can play. So I was just kind of going to be like, here it all is. This is part of my week.
Yeah. I've also been playing the Division 2. They did
no talk about Black Flag. No thoughts. No early thoughts.
Okay. I only played it enough to get to the first trophy because I wanted my when I get the spam platinums and trophies, my trophy card on the show is just a generic symbol, so I wanted to get a trophy in a legit game, so my trophy card worked. Initial thought is I got to go in and change the controls because they updated the controls to the modern Origins Valhalla scheme, and I don't like that scheme. I think I've said that on the show many times. I don't like the fact that the parry button is now L1, the attack button is now R1, and in all the Assassin's Creed games I played, the run button was always R2. Now it's L3. And it's just, it throws me off when I'm trying to do combat or trying to chase somebody or something like that.
I hate having to click down the sticks to run.
Yeah, so, like, well, you got to click it down in the Division 3, but that's not, the attack buttons are, it's a shooter, so it's L2 and R2 to shoot. You just completely change the buttons, and the loot button is different, the parry button is different, the attack button is different. Like, I don't understand why they did this, and I didn't go into the settings long enough to figure it out. Maybe if I could revert it back to classic, but so far the game looks phenomenal. Like, I am impressed with what I've seen in the graphics so far. I am going to dive more into that when I'm done with Assassin's Creed Rogue. But I'm on the last chapter now, but for the last, I'd say 10 hours I've been playing the game. I'm doing nothing but collectible hunting. And surprisingly, I haven't earned a trophy and I've been playing for 2 weeks now. So I don't know if I was just that far ahead in the trophies or what, but,
That's quite the challenge for yourself. Playing 2 Assassin's Creed games back to back, especially with ship combat, which you apparently are not a fan of.
I definitely am not. And that's the other thing. In this one, when you turn the ship, it doesn't turn your view. You have to turn the ship and turn your view at the same time. In every other game, it was synced up. So I don't know if that's that's a control issue with options. I got to go in and look at it and figure that out. I've also been playing Division 2. They did a Dead by Daylight. I think it's Dead by Daylight crossover, and it ends tomorrow as of this recording. So I have to go in and finish up the last thing of the event pass to get my ultimate goal. And I think that's all I've been playing. Yeah, that's all I've been playing. All right, let's get into our topics here. Again, this is coming from IGN and written by Tom Phillips. I didn't have the time to go and read the articles to points, but I did look over them enough to get to a point. Yes, I am going to read this word for word for a while just to get to the point. Because, Alex, you brought up the fact that the only way Sony's going to respond is if we hit them with their wallet, hit them in their wallet. This article addresses that. It says PS5 owners are canceling their PlayStation Plus subscriptions in protest to Sony's controversial decision to stop releasing games on physical disc. But the gesture will not force the console maker to change its mind, analysts say. Sony has drawn huge amounts of online criticism from PlayStation owners upset at the move to all digital future for the new PS5 games launched from January 2028 onwards. Something that's almost certain to continue on PS6. A high-profile petition calling on Sony to reconsider its decision has now reached over 200,000 signatures. As I just said before, it's all closer to 300,000 now. And in the past few days, PlayStation 5 owners have taken to social media to share screenshots of canceled PlayStation Plus subscriptions. But speaking to IGN, Dr. Serkan Toto, CEO of Japanese game industry consultancy firm Katan Games, suggested that even if 500,000 people canceled their PlayStation Plus subscriptions in protest, it would just be a drop in the ocean for Sony, which is not going to change its mind. Quote, I sympathize with physical media fans, but Sony will not reverse this decision. They, of course, knew what the online reaction would look like and now wait for the storm to pass. Sony has over 120 million active PlayStation users and around 50 million people subscribe to PlayStation Plus. As a thought experiment, let's say 500,000 cancel in protest. That would just be 1% of that business gone. Of course, that's not enough to Sony to start rethinking. Digital is just too lucrative. End quote. That's all I'm going to read from this article. Alex, your thoughts?
So I do want to, this is something, you look at the sales numbers of the PlayStation the console itself, and then you see the numbers on the petition, the signatures, or any of the number of comments on Sony posts, people showing support for physical, it's a fraction. I mean, I'm not telling people to not go do that, because if you really are passionate about it, you got to do something. But I also find it funny in kind of like watching videos and listening to people kind of opine about this subject. I saw people talking about, I'm only going to go buy, or I'm going to go buy used discs from GameStop from now on. And I'm like, so you're going to go support the company that was screwing gamers for years, taking their games and giving them pennies on the dollar, to then go and make a big profit themselves by selling a used game for $40, $50? Like, I don't think going and supporting GameStop is the best idea, even with what's going on, but you do you. Maybe focus on, like, if you can, Amazon or your local indie game shops, or stuff like that. Certainly can find better retro things in a lot of like local mom and pop owned shops than a lot of places. But it just made me laugh when people are like, I'm gonna go support GameStop. Why? They were screwing you far before Sony was. So that's my thing. People need to kind of push back, in a way that any way they can, but in the end, will it do anything? It may delay the inevitable, but I think the inevitable, as we all know, is just disc will go by the wayside, not just because of the companies making these decisions. Well, in part because, of decisions made by these companies, but also because at some point, we're already seeing it, physical media is drying up at retail. There are few, like, you just can't get a lot of games on disc at retail anymore. And that's just going to continue to happen. It's going to dry up like a desert as time goes on.
And I before I let you go, it's also worth noting, like, you're canceling your PlayStation Plus subscription, great, but in reality, all you're doing is canceling the renewal. You still have PlayStation Plus until the end of your subscription. So, like, to me, this is just an empty gesture saying, yeah, I'm canceling PlayStation Plus, but I'm still going to use its benefits until my subscription's over. And months down the line, when this is not a hot button topic anymore, they're going to go resubscribe and not tell anybody and be like, yeah, I canceled my PlayStation Plus subscription. But it doesn't mean shit, because you still have PlayStation Plus. Yield, the floor is yours.
So I said this last week. Why I applaud people for taking a stand and, yeah, I'm canceling my PlayStation Plus. Actually, I feel that if you want to make a bigger statement to Sony, just buy physical. Everything that you're going to buy for the next year and a half. And if it's offered physical, buy it physical. And that could possibly delay the inevitable.
I mean, hey, limited run games may not have everything, but supporting a company like that, I would rather see people support that company than GameStop.
Well, I also made the comment that limited run games could still offer the physical disc, and everybody was like, no, Sony controls that. Sony can, a developer and a publisher control what games limited run can make. Yes.
I believe this is Will in our chat, right?
Well, it was other people too, but Will was one of them. Yes. The developers and the publishers, yes, they control what games that limited run could distribute. Yes, that's true. But they were like, limited run games is going to go out of business too because they're not making disc anymore. We've already addressed this. Sony does not control the market of making the DVD disc or the Blu-ray disc. As a third party. So Sony can't control that. What Sony can control is not putting a disc drive on the PS6. Yes, that is possible. But, to me, I think everybody's just outraged right now, and this is going to settle down, and everybody knew this was coming. I said this last week. Everybody knew an all digital future was coming. And now that it's actually happened and people want to lose their minds, to me, with respect to collectors and, people like Yield who love their physical, to me, this is a false outrage. Yes, say what you want to say, be pissed off about it, but you knew this was coming and you had to prepare yourself for it. If you want to go the route of Yield saying, I'm just not going to buy the next PS6, I get it, but I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Yield, do you want to...
No,
do you want to respond to that?
No, I beg to differ because we don't know what games are going to be there. So I don't feel I'm doing myself a disservice because I've been thinking for a while about this being my last current console. So this just makes my decision easier.
All right, that's fair. But to be fair, Yield, and I don't want to put words in your mouth here. You were already thinking about not buying a new console as it is before this announcement was even made. So that's a little different. Somebody saying I'm not buying a PS6 because they're going all digital is not in the same boat as you. Is that fair to say?
I would say yes and no. But I can't totally disagree with what you're saying. Because I was already leaning that way. Somebody way younger than me let's say this is their second console, third console, and going, I'm not buying any more games from here forward. I do find that a little bit hard to believe.
That's what I'm trying to say. Alex, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
I mean, I was going to say that, I mean, part of the concern for a lot of people with all this is the fact that you a lot of times can go to a retail store, if they still have games, and buy a cheaper version of a game than they sell it for on the PlayStation Store. There has been a disparity between games on the PlayStation Network or on PlayStation, the PlayStation Store, and the very same game at, say, Best Buy or some, on Amazon, places like that. So, like, for people, that is a legit concern. For collectors, it's like, at some point, it's like, I don't... The pricing thing, I understand, and I think that's a stronger argument, and not wanting Sony to just completely control the market for their games and having some level of competition. But if you're, like, just the whole collecting aspect of it, it's like at some point in your life, you're going to have to give it up anyway. Let's be real. So I find the collection aspect of it has less backing than the aspect of, I don't want Sony to overcharge me for games, so I want another option to buy games. I think that's the healthier side of the argument, whereas just I want to own stuff is a little bit, how do I say, a weaker argument. Me personally, for all the people who are like, and people can do what they want, but if I have the option of, well, I can either not play any games and not spend the money, or I can spend the money to have a license to play a game and have a really good time with it, earn some trophies, and then I'm done. I would rather pay, and I'm not saying I want to pay $80, $90 for just a license, but I would rather pay for the experience to play a game once than miss out entirely on that experience because it's not on disc. And that's just kind of my whole thinking and the way that I look at the situation. Again, everybody's different. People should be allowed to buy digitally and buy physical, but that's just kind of, I would rather be able to play the game than not play it at all, just even if it's just a license. Obviously, cost does come into that because the cost of games will matter, and the cost of software and hardware will matter going forward. But and I talked to Matt while we were at lunch, and remember Roberto's question last week?
I went to lunch with Matt. Go ahead, yeah.
The jealousy is seeping out of every pore.
Was I right?
But no, you remember Roberto's question about the Evercade?
Yes.
So I kind of had an epiphany after we had recorded, and I was going to record a separate segment because I thought, oh, maybe this is what he was talking about. But I cleared it up with Matt, and I think what Roberto was hinting at is, with the cost of video game systems going up and issues with owning, the games that you buy, the Evercade being a cheaper option with, cartridges coming out that you could stick in your console and play, would that become a more attractive option because of things like going south by, no more physical, or, hey, this console costs over $1,000, whereas something like the Evercade is a lot more affordable? I think that's what he was hinting at, is with some of the bigger news stories coming out and some of the trends in gaming, would the Evercade be a more attractive option for people who may go back and say, I'm just going to play retro games? And I think what Matt and I kind of agreed on was that they're not going to get enough games or a lot of the big games to make that really any kind of threat to any of like the big console platform holders or big publishers. Because when we read off the list of games, I was like, oh man, they got Battletoads the Arcade. Well, Battletoads the Arcade is also down at my local barcade, which I can go get some food and enjoy some old coin-op arcade games. So I think both Matt and I agreed that it wasn't really going to be a serious thing, because how many games are they going to get to put on these things? And so I think that's what Roberto was hinting at, and I just wanted to follow up on that.
10-4. All right. Sorry. Try to bring the agenda back up. Our next topic is coming from any guesses? IGN.
Destructoid.
No, I will never report an article from them. IGN. I don't know.
You don't even have a fucking reason. You're just like, I will not.
Just coming from IGN, also written by Tom Phillips. This is a DLC conversation, gentlemen. Additional packs are entirely optional. Ubisoft responds to Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced microtransaction backlash as a $60 game arrives with $85 worth of DLC. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced has faced a stormy start on Steam, where the $60 game's collection of optional totals $85. Despite positive reviews from critics, fans left scratching feedback on the game's Steam page regarding the array of $10 cosmetic packs available on day one, in addition to a $5 pack add-on. None of these types of content are unusual for Assassin's Creed games, though the sheer number available at launch, as well as their pricing, has drawn ire. So much so that Ubisoft has now seen fit to respond to remind players that such add-ons are not vital. Quote, "Come on, Ubisoft, you just couldn't hold your stuff, huh? Releasing a $7 Euro game, and on the day of release, you slap us with 85 euros worth of DLC packs that are just not cosmetic, but give you a gameplay advantage. This is why piracy exists, and I will be refunded." End quote. What's the point of getting these deluxe versions when immediately in game there's $84.91 worth of DLC that you don't own? Added another fan. Another fan said, "Bought the deluxe edition, foolishly thinking I'd be buying the full game. Here I was thinking Ubisoft had turned a new leaf, and then wham, they hit you with over $75 or 75 euros worth of additional day one DLC." Now, the DLC packs available at launch include the Master Assassin Character Pack, Master Assassin Naval Pack, Hellfire Character Pack, Hellfire Naval Pack, Sea Serpent Character Pack, Sea Serpent Naval Pack, Dragonstorm Character Pack, Dragonstorm Naval Pack, and the Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced Map Pack. Now, all those are $10 except for the map pack. And that's all I'm going to read. Now, we've had conversations about DLC. Yield, I'm going to go to you first. I know you're not an Assassin's Creed fan, but you are you do have some opinions on DLC. Is this too much for Ubisoft to be releasing at launch, or is this a slap in the face and saying, hey, here's your game, but you can spend more money buying all these other costumes?
Okay, so I meant to ask you this when you said you were playing Resynced. So,
okay.
So my question would be, how much of these packs were available by the time they were done producing DLC for the original Black Flag?
I don't have the answer to that because I don't remember what packs were available on the other version.
That's fine, but that would be a question I would ask: is how much of that was available? If all those packs were available, with this being basically a remaster of the game, is it too much? Yes, but at the same time, if all those were available at launch and they're making them available again, I don't think that it's too much. You could argue that it should have possibly been included since it's a remaster, but it's Ubisoft. They're going to get as much money as they can out of their game. I've never really seen cosmetic packs that are game-changing, so I kind of dismissed that argument that somebody was complaining about. And they're all costume packs, so you just roll your eyes, you can be a little disgruntled, and just play the game and enjoy it. The base game alone is fine. I played Black Flag. The only reason I bought the season pass was to get the Blackbeard DLC trophies, and that was it. Otherwise, I fully enjoyed the game as is. So,
and the Blackbird DLC is part of the additional purchase.
Okay, is there
so all yes. Well, I don't know. I can look at the trophies and confirm. I don't know, because there aren't DLC trophies in the game. So I don't see any Blackbeard trophies,
Okay.
but I'm also...
So there's nothing to be upset about, in my opinion, because like the Blackbeard DLC was okay. It was nothing revolutionary. So the main game is the heart and soul. So I don't know. It just seems like it's a reason for people to complain.
You know what? Let me just confirm.
That's fine. Confirm.
Okay, so I'm going to look into this more, but the initial thing it says is yes. While the remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced does not include past expansions like Freedom Cry, it does heavily feature Blackbeard. I keep saying Blackbird. I will look into this more as Alex gives his thoughts.
It's cosmetic packs. I mean, it's not essential to the game. Who cares? Like, if people want to buy it and Ubisoft can make the money off it, like, they're not like cutting out part of the story and selling you that in the aftermath. It's just costumes. Get skins, whatever. Just, I mean, get over it. It's such a, you know, there are some legitimate concerns when it comes to the news topics we talk about, and then there's people who cry wolf on for shit like this, and it kind of muddies the waters. It's like, man, y'all are some whiny bitches to be crying about this kind of stuff. Like, you just think they should give you all of this stuff for free? Well, if you don't want it, don't buy the costumes. It's not going to affect your enjoyment of Black Flag Resynced. So I think the more interesting aspect of this, and we kind of dipped our toes in the water here, but for years we've been paying for DLC, which is just digital downloads, add-ons, and I mean that's originally where DLC came from. It was digital add-on content for like games we bought on discs, and we've been doing that for years. And like I just bought the Woolhaven DLC for $17. That's a DLC pack for $17. There are games out there for that much. And people have been buying that, essentially the license to play the DLC, which at some point could disappear. It's not like you can go down to your local game shop and, pick up a copy of all the DLCs on a disc. So it'll be interesting to see when that kind of bleeds over into the DLC talk about, we don't own this, why am I going to spend money on this? Or who knows, maybe it won't, because we've been doing it for years and there's been less complaints about that. That's my general thoughts.
All right, so yield, I'm getting conflicting reports here, okay? So I just Googled, will Black Flag Resynced include the DLC? It says, no, Black Flag Resynced does not include any DLC from the original game, including Freedom Cry single-player expansion. Ubisoft made this as a pure story-driven adventure focused on Edward Kenway's original campaign from the Caribbean. Now, it says key details about the content. Expansions like Freedom Cry and multiplayer packs from the original game are not part of this version. There is no multiplayer, and while previous DLC and Abstergo offers modern-day segments are absent, Ubisoft added about 6 hours worth of new story material, expanded cutscenes, modernized combat, and seamless open-world sailing. Then I went a little further and to look at the DLC from what it was, and the DLC was never a story expansion. It was so you could play as Blackbeard and unlocked Queen's Anne's Revenge trophy, and also there was a special mission for Blackbeard, which is in Resynced. Does that make any sense what I just said?
Well, I'm looking at PSN profiles right now, scrolling through the trophy list, and I have yet to see
one trophy for it.
Yeah, anything that has to do with Blackbeard. So Blackbeard's Queen Anne's Revenge, which had Blackbeard in it, that DLC pack has no trophies in Resynced. So it's just all cosmetic stuff. So yeah. Don't you're I understand your complaint, but you're barking up the wrong tree with this one.
Yeah, I agree with you too. Like, if it's cosmetic stuff, I get and this is purely optional, like all you're doing is changing the look of your character. I've never, outside the division, I've never looked at a way to make my character look better. Like, to me, like, the combat, the story, that's what I want to play, you know. And even when in certain games, especially in Assassin's Creed games, when I had the option to put on a better robe to look better or something like that, or had better stats, I've always looked at the option like, yeah, I'm going to put on that robe, but I want it to look like this. Because I've always been like, no, I want my character to look like they're supposed to, not because I'm trying to get a gameplay advantage by wearing this particular robe. And I'm not talking about DLC robes. I'm talking about, like, you unlock robes or a gun or something like that in the game. I've always said, no, this is who I want to look like. This is how I want to look like this. Like, I don't want, because I can be invincible with this robe, I don't want to look like that. Like, that, to me, that's not the same thing. So, this is all cosmetic. The only thing I'd buy is the map pack, which shows me where all the collectibles are. To me, that's not cheating. That's like a time saver, and I'm willing to pay $5 for that. So, like, that doesn't bother me one bit. And the map pack has been in every Assassin's Creed game dating back to the original one. So, like, I don't know what people are crying about. If you're upset because you think Resynced should have had all the DLC, listen, companies need to make money, and this is the way they can make money. You got the game. It's a quality game. It's getting great reviews. All these cosmetic packs are optional. You know, you make your decision. Do you want to look like a Hellfire character or, a Sea Serpent? That's your choice. You go drop that money. But Ubisoft doesn't owe you a bit of loyalty and saying, oh, yeah, you paid $60 for our game, so we're going to give you all these character packs for free. No, they don't have to do that, and they shouldn't do that. They should be making money. So, I know I'm probably like a little snippy there. All right, I forgot to post a question for the question of the week, but I still have to antagonize Joe.
Time to check my social media, yeah.
That was a little loud.
Joe, you are one of our most devoted listeners. Please do not pay attention to Tricky's pettiness.
He is a dirty, dirty Devils fan.
How would you feel if I met Joe before I met you in person?
Uh-oh.
Would that just completely chap your ass?
Probably.
Uh-oh, it's on now.
And I agreed to take a picture with Joe in Devils jerseys, matching Devils jerseys.
You would be kicked off the show permanently.
Do it.
Yeah, but then Matt has to edit more often, and Matt's like, all right, I'm out of here, fuck this. Oh, and then you can go to Joe and be like, Joe, will you be a host on the show?
That's never going to happen. He already destroyed game stuff. I'm not going to let him destroy Trophy Wars, too.
He's been on a guest host. He's been a guest chair on here since Game Stuff.
And only when I'm not here. I refuse to share
That's because you'd get too excited being in the same virtual room with him.
I refuse to share a microphone with that jackwagon.
Share a microphone? What do you think he's going to be sitting next to you? You're going to be sitting in the same chair, side by side?
Let's move on to our topic of the week.
Toe. Topic of the week. Well, fine then. Fuck you, Matt.
Yeah, fuck you, Matt, too.
Yeah, you know what? Since Matt bought my lunch, not fuck Matt this week.
Oh. See, I would have bought you lunch. All right, so all three...
yeah, what you would have done is you would have gone to the restroom and then climbed out the window and left me with the bill.
Yeah, because that's who I am. All right, so all three of our topics are regarding the Xbox news this week. One of these I'm going to turn around and tell you, I told you so, mother effers, and we're going to get there. First, coming from Xbox.com themselves, there is a long message. Basically, what I just want to say, Asha, who I keep forgetting her last name. What's her last name?
Asha Sharma.
There you go, Sharma. She sent a message out to Team Xbox and basically said that after careful consideration, I've made the difficult decision to reduce our team by approximately 3,200 employees throughout fiscal year 27. This will include 1,600 role eliminations as of today. In addition, 4 studios will leave Xbox to new management. I recognize that a year-long restructuring creates additional challenges, and unfortunately, it's not possible to make all the necessary changes in a single day, and I wanted to be direct about the scale. She says, our business today is not healthy. We're operating at margins that are 3 to 10 times lower than comparable platform and publishing businesses. We entered Gen 9 with a smaller install base and a higher cost structure. To grow, we bet on Game Pass, multi-platform, and broader portfolio of content. While those businesses have created minimum value, they did not grow at the pace we expected. At first, we will reset our content portfolio. Since 2018, we have aggressively expanded our studio portfolio with the number of games created each month across the industry, now it paces the 10 years combined. We find ourselves not competing with the largest publishers, but also with smaller independent studios. It is not possible nor desirable to own every great independent studio. We have also learned that we are not the best home for every type of studio. In a typical year, we lost 64 cents for every dollar we invested. As a reset, Xbox, we will help independent creators succeed by providing open development tools and audiences in their vision. Compulsion Games and Double Fine Productions will return to management and transition into independent studios with their IPs, catalog, and runway for their next games. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs have entered into terms to join new ownership with funding to compete and grow Senua and State of Decay 3. In France, Arcane's management is beginning required consultation with its works council to review potential strategic options. We're also making reductions across other units, and in some cases, shifting investment to focus on higher priority projects. These changes vary in size across Activision, Bethesda, ZeniMax, Blizzard King, Mojang, and Xbox Game Studios. None of our first-party publicly announced games or projects are being canceled as part of these reductions. In addition, Mojang and King will now report directly to me. These two studios have increasingly become platforms and are largest by monthly active users. They bring critical geographic, demographic, and differentiation to Xbox. Second, we will reset our platform. As we know, with the great technology gets better, it gets simpler, not bigger. Today, in some parts of the company, work passes through as many 14 layers of management. Our platform teams are 40% larger than they were at the start of this generation, even as our player base and playtime have declined. That complexity has slowed decisions, blurred accountability, and made it harder to deliver for players. As we reset Xbox, we will simplify. We will reduce management layers down to no more than 5, where possible 3. I don't want to keep reading all this, but they did
I think
hire.
you could have stopped after you talked about Arcane and Double Fine and all that.
The other thing I will say is that they did hire a chief operating officer, Helen Chang, who's been promoted to chief operating officer for P&L, which is profits and loss. She's being promoted to that role and will report directly to Asha. And then Dave McCarthy's retiring after 17 years with them. That's basically the gist of her letter. Now, before I go on to the other topics we have here, gentlemen, we did address the studios and they were in question. Turns out all the studios that were rumored to be in trouble, they were the studios that were mentioned in this. They were not shut down, and they do look like they will stay stay whole. But
yeah, so in summation, Double Fine and Compulsion Games will go independent again.
Correct.
Someone has bought Ninja Theory. We don't know who. And then there's some stuff to work out with Arcane because they're European or they're in France, so they got to work some stuff out there. And from my understanding, they use the term runway. I believe they've been given resources to help with their next project. So I think that
I don't know that they've actually been bought. According to her, she said they're entered terms into join new ownership, but I don't know if the purchase is actually made there.
They entered into terms. It may not be finalized, but it sounds like they entered into terms under new ownership. Sounds like they found a buyer, and they're just.
And also, I want to point out before you go on, Alex, it is also good that not only are these studios going independent and being purchased by other people, they're also keeping their IP. Microsoft does not hold on to anything.
They're going independent. They're not being Some of the studios may be bought, but Double Fine is going independent. Compulsion's independent. They're not being bought.
Well, no, I'm saying Compulsion and Double Fine, all the studios that are affected in this are all keeping their IPs. Microsoft does not keep an ownership of their IP. So,
which it seems like when it all comes, I mean, Microsoft may have grown too quickly, even for Microsoft, and bought too many studios. But it seems like they've done right. Not by the 33,200 people they're going to fire by the end of the year, but for the studios themselves, these 4 studios, given their IP, they seem to have done right by these studios, I will say.
Yield, your thoughts, sir?
What was your question? Because you guys went on a couple of things.
What are your thoughts on the moves Xbox is making?
Well,
with the 5 studios that are being affected, obviously people getting laid off sucks.
Well, yes, that sucks.
But
as a gamer, I appreciate the fact that they're letting some of their studios have the option to go back independent or to seek other capital, because they own them and they could just go, your studio is now existent or doesn't exist, and either all of you are out of a job, or we're going to take you, and you're now going to go over here and work for this company and work on this game. They did that with some of their studios that they're keeping, as they shrunk them down. But, Double Fine and Ninja Theory and the others, they gave them the option to get out. I appreciate that, because they didn't have to do that.
Now, for a total overview of this, I said they kind of did right by the studios. As a whole, does Microsoft really need to fire 3,200 people?
No.
Probably not. They probably have the reserves to keep quite a few of those people. And what it boils down to, and I'm sure Tricky's going to play devil's advocate, but it boils down to they're trying to make as much money as possible. I get it, you're a company, but there needs to be something to be said about treating your employees well.
Well, yeah, I mean
this.
Sorry, go ahead, Alex.
And also, I had another thought. And if we are talking about spinning Xbox off into something else, its own independent thing, then obviously everything Asha Sharma is saying feeds into that, because it's very clear they're trying to cut costs before any type of move like that would happen. Like, I believe all these moves are feeding into the thing that Xbox will be on its own within Microsoft, and Big Daddy Microsoft and Windows aren't going to be paying for all their purchases anymore.
And I'm not going to play devil's advocate, but I suspected a long time ago that layoffs were coming, and I can't confirm this in any way, shape, or form, but I would make the assumption that part of the layoffs that are happening are because people's jobs are redundant. You acquire studios and they come in, there's got to be people that are doing the same job, and you don't need 2 people doing the same job. That's just my thoughts.
For in a year losing 3,200 people, that's a lot of redundancies.
Well, I'm sure
that's not all. They fired 1,600 people in just one go.
No. I'm not trying to say they're all redundancies. I'm saying there's probably a good portion of those that are redundant. There's no way there's 3,200 redundancies. I don't believe that one bit. I'm just saying I think a portion of those are probably redundant people.
Nobody is redundant, Tricky.
You know what I'm saying. Don't twist my words.
I just think Microsoft could probably afford to keep these people on payroll. You may have a few people that... And this isn't even like the first round of layoffs Microsoft has done in recent years. Like, they have laid off people before. and large
Okay.
swaths of people. So this all comes down to they're trying to cut as many people as they can to make as much money as possible. They're cutting down to the bone.
Okay, but even if Microsoft did keep them or Xbox did keep them, what do you have them do?
Some of them, I'm sure, can do important jobs. I'm not saying you have to keep everybody ever hire, but, after doing numerous rounds of layoffs, the latest one being 3,200 people, and we have to get rid of 4 of our studios, I don't know, man. I just don't believe, I'm not going to buy into a fact that the company like Microsoft has to fire all these people.
No. Part of this, and I can't find the quote in the article right now, but Asha Sharma has also admitted that Game Pass was a failure. That it
Are those her exact words, or are you reading into her comments?
I'm looking for the exact comment right now. It said, okay, this is coming from the IGN article written by Wesley Yinpool. I will go into the article that it's linking right now, but it says, explain the cuts. Sharma admitted that Microsoft's gaming strategy has failed, and a key part of that failure had to do with Game Pass. The Wall Street Journal said that Microsoft had expected Game Pass subscriptions to hit around 77 million this year, but it currently only has about 30 million. As revealed during the FTC versus Microsoft trial in 2023, Microsoft had hoped for 100 million subscribers by 2030, which seems unlikely at this stage. So they are more than half of what they expected to hit this year, right now. Now, I'm taking this with a grain of salt because, and this is not shade at Xbox in any way, shape, or form, but there is no console that Xbox has sold 77 million. So part of that 77 million had to have been they expected people to buy on the Game Pass on console and or Ultimate and PC Game Pass. To have that number and to expect that many subscriptions, I think was unrealistic.
Well, honestly, I'll throw this out there. If you owned an Xbox, why wouldn't you own Game Pass? Why?
I'm sorry, say that one
That's
more
a
time.
legitimate question. That's not like I don't understand why you wouldn't. It's a tremendous deal.
I'm sorry. Say your question again. You kind of broke up with me.
If you owned an Xbox, why would you not have? Why wouldn't you have Game Pass?
Well, I agree. To the gamer.
So clearly their thinking isn't ridiculous.
But you're.
I mean they missed their projections by 70 million people, but.
Well, no, they missed it by 40, but yes. They want.
Oh, I thought I saw that they had 30 million subscribers to Xbox somewhere.
They have 30 million right now. They wanted 77 million by this year, and they expected 100 million by 2030.
Okay.
But let me see. Xbox Series X sales. Let's see what the latest projection numbers was. Right now. Right now,
it also makes you wonder what would have happened if they had not bought Bethesda and Activision.
Okay, so as of right now, the latest report is that they have sold 34 to 35 million Series X and S's. So
that's combined, obviously.
Yes. So let's just argument's sake, which is extremely wrong, but let's just argument's sake and say that those 30 million people just bought Xbox, or just on console Game Pass. You're expecting another 40 million to be on PC Game Pass? I think that's unrealistic.
I mean, you got to know how many PC players are out there, though. There's a lot more PC players than there are Xbox owners.
Correct, and I don't say that, but if Matt was here, I think he would argue and agree with me that PC gamers have a variety of things that they're going to buy, mainly Steam. They're going to get their games from Steam. You can't expect more people on PC to buy your Game Pass than you do on your console. Because PC players have a plethora of places they can go and buy their games. They're not going to subscribe to another service where they're only going to get, 3 games a month, maybe?
I don't think it's crazy to think that they are like. I mean, aside from Steam, what other platforms are they more likely to buy from than subscribe to Game Pass?
Well, you got.
Don't even mention Epic, because they will go redeem free games from Epic. But I would think that more people would subscribe to Game Pass on PC than buy from the Epic Game Store. I think it's been proven that Epic Game Store is a colossal failure.
Well, I mean, Epic is one of them, but you have. Let's see.
GOG, Good Old Games.
You have GOG. You have the
But also,
Microsoft
Good Old Games
Store.
serves a different type of audience than Game Pass. Game Pass and GOG are not. There's very little overlap in the game libraries they offer.
You have a Humble Bundle. You have Green Man Gaming. You have Fanatical. Like, there are other places you can go buy your PC games. You're expecting somebody to pay $20 a month, I think it is, for PC Game Pass? Like, I'm not trying to split hairs, and I'm not trying to shit on Xbox. I'm really not. But on the same token, I think their numbers were not realistic. And this is where I said, I'm going to say I told you so, because to me, and I've said this for a long time, I don't think Game Pass is good for Microsoft. I don't. You're giving away your AAA games and your first party games on launch that people have spent years and millions of dollars developing, and you're giving them away for free. Now, the argument could be said.
You got to stop saying that, Tricky. You got to stop saying giving away for free.
No. Because I was just about to address that. You can say, well, no, they're paying $20 a month. Yes, but they're not paying $20 a month for those games. They're paying $20 a month regardless. So, to me, when you look at that, like, I have PlayStation Plus. I have PlayStation Plus primarily so I can play online with my friends. The free games are an added bonus, yes. But as Yield will back me up on this, you can't rely on those free games. So
No, you can't.
So when games come out, I get them. I know for a fact that Wolverine will eventually come to PlayStation Plus. But am I willing to wait a year or 2 years to play it when it eventually does? No, I'm going to buy it. If PlayStation had a thing where they're saying, oh, you're going to get Wolverine day one because you're a PlayStation Plus premium subscriber, I would tell you I think that's a bad choice by Sony. No, let the sales happen, then put it on your service. I said this from the start. Putting their first-party games day and date on Game Pass was a mistake, and they were going to lose money. And to me, it's coming true.
Yeah, but you always got to remember that Jeff Hanna always pushes back on you when you say stuff like that, and we do have to remember that he has worked in the industry for a long time, at Volition before he worked at NVIDIA, and he worked at EA as well. So, I mean, he's a smart guy. So I'm not going to just throw away what he says because of how things have played out.
I'm not saying he's not a smart guy either, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. But to me, Game Pass, I will always say, is great for the gamer. I think it's bad for Microsoft. I think they pulled a desperation move to say, we want people to come play over here, and we're going to give away our first-party games. We're not going to charge you for Call of Duty or Elder Scrolls or whatever games that came out, Gears of War, Halo. Like, those games are the reasons people buy Xbox. And the second they start saying, you're going to get them day and date for Game Pass for free, we're also putting our games on PC. Oh, and in the recent years, we're going to start putting our games on PlayStation. There's no reason to buy an Xbox anymore. So the whole reason you launched Game Pass, you're basically forgetting. To me. I know you guys feel differently, and I know there's going to be some comments, but to me, Game Pass, to me, it was always good for the gamer, bad for business. And I've said that numerous times. Yield, I'll give you the floor if you want to say anything.
No. I believe I said the same thing a long time ago when we were talking, that, for a gamer it's awesome, but I don't see how it's good for the business or how they made a bunch of money off of it. The only way I would think that they would make money off of it is if their player base continued to grow. You know, people like me or Alex, even you to a greater extent as you've dabbled in Xbox. For those of us that don't own an Xbox, you know, we get into it and stay in it, then, you know, that's now more revenue. But if you're not attracting any more new gamers into your set, then eventually all those extra games that you're releasing day and date, you're going to start losing money. Because why would a gamer, you know, per se, go out and, other than unless you wanted to own it yourself, you know, there are several games that you would probably not purchase because, well, I already got it for free, or I'm getting it for free.
All right.
Free in quotations.
Now, there is another article coming from PC Gamer, written by Lincoln Carpenter. This is just the headline says enough, which I thought was ironic at this point. The U.S. Federal Reserve has tapped Xbox CEO Asher Sharma, who just laid off 3,200 employees, to lead a task force on creating jobs. That's really all needs to be said about that.
And our reactions say everything that needs to be said about that.
Could the news could have come out at a better time? It's like Sony's announcement they were going discless after the announcement that you know, the removal of the movies from their service. You know, could have had a better time to announce it, but at the same time, it may have been one of those things that just kind of happened. And the decision on Asher Sharma could have been made after she made these cost-cutting measures, or was part of the cost-cutting measures. And again, we also don't know, like, I don't know, because, like, how much of the cuts are actually Asher Sharma? Because, again, it's Microsoft as a whole. It's not necessarily the games division only. And Asher Sharma is not the boss at Activision, or not the boss at Microsoft, right? She's just leading the Xbox games charge.
Right, but the 3,200
So a lot of those layoffs may not have even been her fault.
Yeah, but the 3,200 employees are all coming from Xbox hires. These aren't Microsoft.
I thought it was Microsoft General.
No. This is a Microsoft. This is 3,200 Xbox employees.
Are you sure?
That's all the articles I've seen.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But everything I've seen.
Well, then, damn, how many people are left at Xbox?
I do like the sub-headline here. It says, the Federal Reserve says its newly announced task force represents a, quote, commitment to price stability and maximum employment, end quote. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems that very much Asher Sharma is trying to stabilize Xbox right now, but maximum employment definitely isn't on the agenda.
So, I mean, that's all our news for this week. Gentlemen, do you have any final comments? Anything you want to say? Xbox, they're going through some tough times right now. And, you know, as much as I shit on Xbox and half of it's, you know, it just in fun, I don't want to see Xbox suffer, because if Sony doesn't have any real competition, then they get lazy. We start, you know, suffering on the PlayStation side. Competition does breed better games for everybody involved. So I do want to see Xbox succeed, but, you know, they got to start making better decisions. And Asha Sharma, for her credit, when she first got the job, she came out swinging, but it seems like now decisions are...
That was like a month ago. A month and a half ago. Like, you kind of have to look at this and, like, look back at the Activision purchase and be like, was this really a good idea? Or was this going to turn out to be kind of a mistake? Because, yeah, they got King, and they, I mean, yeah, it's like, oh, man, we get Call of Duty, but you got to wonder, like, you spent all that money, but now you have to, like, continually employ these people and pay all these people and pay for these projects to be made, even if you're making money off them. And also, would more people just have bought Call of Duty on Xbox anyway? So,
statistically, people, I think it's 5-1 on PlayStation that people buy Call of Duty.
I mean,
And also Sharma actually took over the CEO job back in February.
Really? 5-1 for PlayStation? You'd figure it would be Xbox because they have better servers.
and another thing, like, to take it back to the whole Sony thing and the discless thing, who knows? Maybe this might turn out to be the perfect time for Sony to announce this and push forward this, because when you look at, Microsoft, they are, kind of at a weak point now, and especially if Xbox is gonna, well, not Microsoft, but Xbox, especially if Xbox is going to spin off and be independent, and they're going to cut back. That's Sony's strongest competition. The other part is you got Nintendo, which realistically, a lot of the games you can play on PlayStation, you can't play on a Nintendo console. And also, people who are like, well, I'm not going to support Sony, I'll go buy a PC. When PC gaming is far more expensive and you have to upgrade constantly, or at least, every year, every other year, to keep your system in, able to play games at the highest order, play the best games. So Sony, looking at their competition, it's more affordable to buy a Sony console than PC. Nintendo and Sony kind of serve, there is overlap in their games, but a lot, or in their player bases, but a lot of the games you can play on Sony, you just can't replace and replicate on Nintendo. And Microsoft and Microsoft's kind of washing their hands of Xbox, so to speak, and Xbox looks like in a very vulnerable position right now. So is this really the worst time for Sony to announce this? Their best competition is kind of struggling right now.
I said 5-1, didn't I?
Yes, you said 5-1.
I misspoke. I just looked it up. PlayStation on the 4 and the 5 have 42% of the Call of Duty audience. PC between Steam and Battle.net has 28 to 30%, and Xbox has 25% of the player base.
Oh, they still have more. I'm still surprised by that.
But
So.
yeah, I mean, what do you think about that, Tricky? About what I said, and you can answer this too, about Sony, when they chose to announce it, maybe not being the worst time. I mean, yes, being the worst time after the news they put out about, or after the news came out about the movies, but in general, overall.
I think Sony making their announcement when they did was they were trying to lay off some of the heat, being that a lot of people were pissed off that Grand Theft Auto was going to be discless. So I feel like they made their announcement at the same time, just go, well, listen, you guys, Grand Theft Auto, which is arguably the biggest game in the industry, is going discless. Why shouldn't we? I don't think. I think the timing was on purpose. I think they did it knowing that Grand Theft Auto was going to be discless. I think they did it to say, listen, we can share the heat. And unfortunately, Sony's taken a good majority of the heat.
Well, yeah, nobody, people kind of, I don't want to say forgotten, but it's become a side story, a subtext that
Grand Theft Auto is discless.
Grand Theft Auto is discless because people will they'll grumble about it, but they want to play Grand Theft Auto 6. You're not going to forego it, so.
And I think people are going to grumble about the discless, but they're still going to play it.
Yeah, but Rockstar, it came out first, and now Sony's taking all the heat because obviously, yeah, news comes out, bad news, and people are like, grr, but then other bad news comes out, and people jump to that and kind of forget about what was just announced, and now Sony's getting all the heat, and Rockstar's not really. It takes all the heat off Rockstar.
What I also like is that Sony Santa Monica came out and confirmed that God of War Lawfree was going to be on the disc. And everybody's like, no, even the studio was going against it. I'm like, no, that just confirms the game's coming out in 2027. Sony's not going to let Santa Monica come out with a disc after they just announced all their games are going discless. They just confirmed. I saw that, and I was like, oh, look, even Sony's own studios are against it. No, that's not what that said. They just said the game's coming out on the disc, which basically just confirms game's coming out in 2027. Yield, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
What was I going to say to that? I don't know. What I was really going to say was, who'd have thought in 2026 that Nintendo would be the company that nobody is talking bad about.
Well, that's not true because they caught some flack earlier in the year.
Did they? What they catch? What did they catch flack about? I forget already.
That whole key card cartridge nonsense.
Oh,
that they're releasing the physical media, but it's really just to unlock to download the game.
Well,
also for the price of some of their games, the cost of the console,
how quickly that seems to be the better option.
I mean, all right, so I'll just pose this, gentlemen. What if they do still release the cases, but inside the case is just a digital download code?
No.
Would you be okay with that, Yield?
No.
We've talked about this numerous times before. Why do you think Yield's opinion on this would change? He doesn't want an empty case with a piece of paper in it.
See,
like opening a fortune key, you'd get a fortune.
I got that with Horizon Forbidden Wilds. No, I've got my games mixed up. But anyway, the latest Horizon game, I got that. You know, the collector's edition, where you got a steel bookcase but a digital code. Not a fan.
Okay, so let me rephrase my question. What if they release the box and they release the disc, but the disc is just a download?
I mean, that's kind of what we're at now with a lot of our big games anyway.
So, I mean, if they decide to do that, does it kind of reverse Sony's no, we're not doing a disc thing? In your opinion?
Probably
because I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I'm trying to think if it really bothers me that much or not. I want to say
it still allows collectors to put something on their shelves. It just stops the resellers because obviously you can't sell the digital code.
Yeah. It's still, fundamentally, it's not right.
Well, let me ask, Yield, is it different if you're just getting, if the game is not on the disc and it's just an unlock code and you have to download a game from Sony servers versus just getting a code? So the only difference is you have it on a disc. That can't make it any better.
No, see, I think I know that we have said many times that you haven't really owned your game since PlayStation 2 era. And that goes for, we'll just encompass all the gaming companies. That in that era is kind of when the last time you truly owned your games. I still have a small belief that because I have a disc and I'm putting it in the system, I own that game. Even though I do know that some games it's basically just copying it to the hard drive and the disc is just the key to let you play it. Digital codes, I can't, not that I do it often, but I can't take that, well, I do. I can't take a game that I pick up and be like, man, I think the guys would like this, and go over to their house and go, here, pop this in and play it. Case in point, Roadcraft. I bought Roadcraft, I played it, I enjoyed it, I took it to my brother's, I said, here, play this. I think you would enjoy it. He played it for about an hour, turned around, bought it. You're not going to be able to do that in the coming future, you know? Or the same thing as you could sell the game to a friend. You've got it done, you're not going to touch it anymore, you could sell it. Now, I would think that the good majority of us physical people kind of just, those are our games and we're not necessarily getting rid of them. That's what I'm against, is if you have a digital code, you own it, but you kind of don't. And I guess that's what this doesn't sit right with me yet.
The thing that Tricky had said, and kind of what I was getting at, is Tricky made it seem like just getting a disc, even if it didn't have the game on it, if it's clearly just an unlock code, was better for you or a good option as opposed to just getting a piece of paper with the code on it. And I think my point is, I don't think that you would agree with that.
Yeah.
Even if it's just, because he seemed to say that just having a disc in there,
having a disc would make it better. And some people probably would, but no, because I still can't take that game and go to a friend's house and go, here, try this.
Well, you can, Yield. You can Now, granted, this does take a little bit of knowing the consoles. You could go to Homer's house, put your account on his 5, and download the game and play the game. And you and Homer and the Brain and all them, you could play the game as long as your profile is logged in and doing multiplayer. You guys can play the game. You can download the game, or like I do with Sid. Sid's PlayStation 5 is my primary console, so he can download any game on my account and play it no problem. For me, my PlayStation 5 has to be connected to the internet to verify the license, but I can play any game on my account. Now, there are workarounds. Granted, they are steps to do it. You can technically go over to Homer's house, download Roadcraft, and as long as you guys are playing multiplayer and your account is logged in, a la not making his console your primary console, you guys can play the game without having to bring the physical disc over. Now, that is a workaround. I'm not saying it's a feasible option for you or for anybody, and anybody should have to jump through those steps, but it is possible. I'm getting a lot of silence.
Yeah, I just don't think that makes it better. I mean, maybe it's just because in the end, it's not the game. It's a disc. You might as well put like a little one of those CDR discs, empty discs that you burned CDs onto back in the day. Like it's not the actual game itself.
All right, so since Will is our biggest collector, Will, I will pose a question, and you can just let us know. Would that make it different for you, Will? Because I'm kind of curious, because I just thought of this. Like, I think one of the biggest outcries is the collectors that they can't put something on their shelf. If they release a box and a disc that's just an unlock code, you can still collect it, because Will's not a reseller, he's a collector. And along with everybody else on the PlayStation Ain't Dead podcast, they are collectors. So what I'm suggesting would affect people like Daryl, who's a reseller. He can't resell the game because you can't resell the code. That being said, we're beating the dead horse here. Let's close out the show. Yield your shout out, sir.
We've been beating the dead horse for years now with this.
Yes, yield your shout out, sir.
Shout out to Alex and Tricky for recording this evening. Shout out to Matt, who's in Timbuktu. I feel like that's in my neck of the woods.
No, he's actually in the country Timbuktu.
Oh, he's in
sent him there.
Country Timbuktu. Okay.
Is there actually a country called Timbuktu?
No. If there is, I'd be pleasantly surprised. Shout out to Prepare to Die Scum and Homer Get Stuffed for some gaming the other day. Shout out to Nitro as well for our Roadcraft and Exocross games that we're working through. Shout out to all the pimps and the madams of the whoredom for downloading, listening, and hanging out with us. Shout out to Gareth for the rarity competition. And that'll do me this evening, or this week.
Y'all, Timbuktu is a city in Mali.
I was about to say, it's not a country, but it is a city, and it has over 1 million people. I didn't know that. Black Chaos, thank you for coming in. Wait, he said, what's good, fam? Alice, your shout out, sir.
Black Chaos, I'll tell you what's good. Lunch with Matt.
He doesn't know that story.
Well, I'm sure when Black Chaos, I met Matt for lunch this past Saturday. It's the first time we'd ever met in person. There you go. You're caught up. Listen to the earlier part of the show for a more full retelling of the events. Give a shout out to the listeners, the fans, the fuel to the fire of this trophy whores, awesome people like Black Chaos who keep us rolling. Give a shout out to my co-host Tricky and Yield, as well as Matt. Again, Matt, thank you for buying me lunch on Saturday. Completely unnecessary, but very appreciated. And a shout out to V for letting Matt and me meet while she rolled around the con on her own. Give a shout to Will, who does our artwork. Awesome artwork. Thank you, Will. Renowned physical games collector. And last but not least, give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend, Ashley. I love you, hun. That's gonna do me.
And I'll give a shout out to Black Chaos who popped into the chat at the last minute. Sorry, Chaos, it's the end of the show. Shout out to Alex and Yield. Well, actually, no. A twerp you to Alex for breaking my trust in you.
What
Shout out
trust?
to Yield. Shout out to you, Yield, for showing up to record and not betraying me. Even though you probably had an opportunity to betray me as well.
I mean,
How close? How close were you?
Well, I was busy Saturday, but I'm an hour and a half from Cincinnati on good traffic. So, hour and a half to 2 hours.
So, thank you for being loyal.
Well, I mean,
he just said he was busy.
I mean,
he
if
wasn't being loyal. He was busy.
If I wasn't busy and I had been invited, I'd have went down too because I haven't met Alex yet.
Or Matt.
No, we didn't need. I just threw it out there as like, hey, and I figured, Yield, if you were able to, you'd be like, hey, I might be able to do that too. So,
well, you said on the show, oh, maybe we should spite Tricky and just do it. So I knew it was going to happen. I just expected you to be loyal. That's all.
So I'm supposed to like not take an opportunity. Maybe the only opportunity I'll have to meet Matt, just so you can not be butthurt about it.
Well, maybe next year we all go to Paris again. Shout out to all the listeners.
I'll probably be busy.
Shout out to all the listeners. And if there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
See ya.
Later.
Save your last words, then read me this. Save your last words. Save your last words, then read me this. Save your last words, then read me this. Save your last words, then read me this. Save your last words, then read me this.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.